Welcome to 5 Questions with Maureen and Linda. Today, we're focusing on the new counseling tool that was introduced earlier this year in connection with the launch of Oticon Intent. So, Linda, what are some of the key benefits and differences of using this new counseling tool compared to, for example, the cozy, or just asking the client, regular questions about their hearing?
Okay, there are several reasons. Some may be first, need based. When the clinician defines with the patient the audiological needs, the clinician can be more precise with suggestions for hearing aid technology, focusing on covering the prescribed needs and, as a confirmation, reviewing responses to determine if devices are meeting expectations. Second, personalization. It is customizing for each patient. Third, structure. The tool provides a workflow for the clinician. Fourth, consistency among clinicians. Fifth, visual guide, helping the patient to understand more about his hearing situation and the impact in his lives. Sixth, benefit on writing down the patient's responses, building trust between patients and clinicians.
Exactly. Thank you.
Next question for you, Maureen. Could you take us inside the counseling tool?
Sure. Let me grab it. The
Okay.
counseling tool comes as a printed document on heavy paper stock. Think of it as a very large brochure, and it's designed to be kept on your desk and used and reused with practically all of your adult clients. So while the counseling tool is contained all in one document, it really could be considered to have 3 parts to follow the flow of your patient care. The first 2 parts are very generic, so it can be used with any client regardless of hearing loss, or if they're a new hearing aid user or previous user. We start with the first section, as you can see in the slide, your communication needs, which covers 2 pages. Here you can see a number of different environments represented in pictures, and your client should pick out 3 or 4 of these situations that are most important for them to hear, and you should write them down. Now, you can have your client mark their choices on a separate page that comes available for you as a tear-off pad. If you want to use the pad, I suggest having them write these on these take-home pages and put a copy in their file. You may also ask them to mark how difficult these situations are, hard, medium, or easy, or it becomes a natural part of the conversation. So this is done before the audiogram. The next section, called Hearing Aid Preferences, should be saved until after you discuss the audiogram and other test results. And of course, before you jump into the hearing aid recommendation. So now you're asking about their hearing aid preferences, what's important to them, such as appearance, um, of course, clarity, and often budget. I would save this part of the hearing aid preferences for when you've, again, counseled about the audiogram and you're ready to talk about a hearing aid recommendation. So this way, you're putting together the hearing patient's needs and their hearing aid preferences all together. So by doing this before you jump into the hearing aid recommendation, you're showing the client that their needs matter, that you've really listened to them, and you're helping to put it all together for them. And again, one big benefit of this tool is that you're validating the client's needs and preferences. You're confirming that you've listened to their desires and you're taking them into consideration when you make a hearing aid recommendation. So Linda, can you describe the second part of the tool, the sales support part, and also share some of the pros and cons?
Sure. The tool has a simple but complete explanation of the most advanced features that Oticon hearing aids have, facilitating patient understanding, and with this base, it makes a comparison of the 3 latest premium technology, Intent 1, More 1, and Real 1. The pros shows the technological improvement in our brain hearing approach over time, focusing on intent and the difference with the traditional technology. And cons, when comparing with premium features, it is not possible to compare with mid-range hearing aids.
For the next question, we wanted to share with you some real-world experiences with the counseling tool. I recently had the pleasure of interviewing Chayma from Auditec in Morocco. And if you don't know Chayma, she is the Director of Operations and Development for the company. Along with her sister Umama, they are truly a dynamic duo. Since May, Chayma has worked with and trained her team on how to add the counseling tool to the patient fitting flow. And I'm going to let her tell you the differences and benefits that she has found from implementing the counseling tool with her team and their patients. Now, after you watch the conversation with Chayma, please stay with the video for 2 more minutes for an important reminder from us about the counseling tool.
The first time I heard or I saw the tool, it was in Rome.
Right.
I right away understood that this would be really life-changing for us in the terms of the sales process, because it puts in images all the things that we have to say and might not be clear, or even things that we are not comfortable saying to the patient, or we just forget to say to the patient. So basically, it gives you this guidance where now, like the team, after the training and all the examination that we went through, they know that the 2 things that we are expecting from a patient to be able to answer his, to give him a solution, are to understand what are their needs and what are their preferences. Like, how could it be that we're gonna make a testing or like given like an option to the patient without knowing his preferences? Because of course, before we had processes to understand their needs, but not really the preferences. Like it would never even come into the conversation where like he would never tell you that, yeah, you know, I feel it's something for all people and I don't want it to be visible and I have a problem with the appearance. Like no one is gonna say that, like hardly. Some people do say that, but they have a hard time admitting it, right? When they see it on a paper, something that is concrete, that is here in front of them, say, oh, so those people also recognize that some people might have some struggle with the appearance, right?
Yeah, right.
So, and also the budget, like many of the people, sometimes they just don't even imagine how much it will cost, right? So they just come to you and it's just like, yeah, just give me the best. Yeah, and then when you give them the price, then it's like, right? And it didn't also like, imagine you are the patient, I am the adultist, you know? What if I don't have anything between my hands and then I just ask you, do you have any budget? Who's gonna pay for it? Blah, 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 blah. Sometimes it does feel weird, right? But when I do have a tool, there is a professional tool where you can clearly see that these guys are talking about something that is called budget. Then it gives you more you're more legit, I would say, to talk about it as a professional, because there is a tool that exists in the world that gives you this, I would say, the right to talk about it in an open way, right?
Yeah.
And these are like the 2 things where we basically would have real objections of the patient, because for all the rest of them, accessories, quality, sound, quality, connectivity, it's easy to, I would say, come up with a product that have these preferences. But then sometimes you get a little bit more struggle with the budget and the appearance. And he was saying that in the US, they only offer one option to the patient. I said, wow, this is a little bit hard, you know, how could we just offer one option to the patient? But when I started implementing the tool, and I said, based on the preferences, based on the needs, how can I come up with more than one option, right? Because there's one optimal option, and it could be only one optimal option. And maybe I need to come up with a second one, but on a second stage where it won't be the optimal option, but it would be the second option. And make the patient aware that this is not the optimal option, because based on the preferences and the needs, I can only have a solution, one solution that would come up with all this, right? With the three preferences and three needs and blah, 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 blah. So this is how we use it. I can share my screen with you to show you our sales process and how do we do it, and then maybe in real life how is the summary of the appointment is done with the patient.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is here where I say, like, when you do the patient discovery, and then this is how you use the tool, this is the questions you ask, and then this is how you do, you can see it here, this is how you do the summary of the appointments with the patients. And this is what you say, like, you have to put the duration where he has no hearing aid, and when he has detected this problem, what are his needs, how do you put them in place, and then here on the second one, what are the preferences, please open the guide, ask a question, and then this is the example of the summary of the patient that you can have in here, right? This is how we do it. And then I explain to them that this has to be done with the patient, and explain to the patient, like, where, just to give you an idea, like, where when you have this appointment with the patient, you'll tell him, you know, allow me to write this down while I'm talking to you, because this will give us a starting point, because on the next time where you will be adapted, and when you finish the adaptation period, we're gonna go through this again and see, is it still hard for you or does it work, right? And by writing it down also, at the end of when you do the testing, at the end of the appointment where you have made your the product you've proposed to him, you go through again the three top preferences. It's like, if it's one, appearance, is it okay? Is it validated? Like the green lights. It's like, yeah, let's go to the second preference. Oh yeah, the second preference was connectivity. But like, yeah, you can see that now the phone is connected to your ears, to your hearing aids, and then we have done the test and we've called you, and then you say, are you validating that this is okay for the second preference? Yeah, sure. Okay, we talked about the option you have, and then we told you the prices. Does it seem okay for you? Is it fine? It's like, yes, okay. So we basically, Mr. or Mrs. or Miss blah, 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 we validated the three top priorities you have. Yes, okay, thank you. So let's move on to another thing, right? This is how we do it. Patients, like a little bit background, suffers from moderate bilateral deafness since 2011. She was an English teacher, now retired. Her priorities is to hear in group, outdoor, and with family. And her needs are appearance and clarity and budget. Okay. Great. And then it's a test with MiniRite. We did a test in a noisy scene, and she heard fine. Confirmation for Ruby at blah blah blah. Right. So basically, this is how we materialize the use of this tool into a report of the patient that is done with him, and to validate with him, and it makes it much more easier. that I noticed when they go through the preferences, they talk about the clarity and blah blah blah, and then says and the budget, and then they go on. And it takes like maybe 1 second when they talk about the budget because they are afraid of facing this budget thing, right?
Right,
So
right.
I was like, how is it that you're talking about all eight preferences and then you spend 1 second on the budget, right? Where this is really one of the points where you're gonna come up with the right answer to the patient or to the wrong answer to the patient. Because like for me, the top objections of a patient not to be, I would say, having a hearing aid is budget and appearance. These are the two things that will not make them accept the hearing aid and the instrument. So like, how is it like you have no problem, okay, with the appearance, you talk and you understand and then you explain, but then when you go to the budget thing, you just go on, no, please take your time and please ask in an open way, do you have a certain budget? Who's paying for you? Are you going to pay? Is any family member is going to help? And you can have a more precise idea, because when you do not define this, and then you tell me that you want speech clarity and sound quality and appearance, I will just offer an intent, right?
But that might not be in the budget.
They are far from the budget of intent. So what am I going to create in that patient's mind? I'm going to create frustration. So it's very important that you be more or less close to what he can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Never down, maybe a little bit up, but not way too up.
Right.
This is how I see it, right? And the feedback we had from patient that has had different experiences from competition, and they came to us at the end, and then when we start like using this and it's like, wow, it all makes sense now. No one explained to me the way you did, because you started asking me questions like it was nothing, and then you pulled up this thing, and then there's a link between the preferences and between the needs, and then between what I'm testing, and then this is like a very unique way you're doing it. It's so nice. Like they see the difference, they feel it, because they feel that there's a link to the real things they want and they think, and they feel like part of the process, part of the selection process. It's not like a doctor, you come in and then you have a problem and then we're gonna give you medication. No, you are part of the solution. You are part of the process of the selection.
So does the staff feel that it's making a difference for them personally when they work with patients?
When as you can see here on the one that I just picked up like this, the patient is confirmed, because there was no doubt on what was going on. He didn't confirm for an intent. He didn't confirm for a more. He confirmed still for a Ruby, because this was because budget was one top thing for him, and we didn't frustrate him. So he made a decision right away in the first session. Exactly.
Great.
This is our experience, and we're happy with it. It was for us life changing. As you see, it's part of the sales process. It's totally there and like everyone, they have a one tool per person with their names. They've signed on it. They know that it's something that is really part of the way we want to work. And for me, it was like, I was saying, like, what could I put in as a new thing to improve the conversion rate in the sales process? And this gave me the answer. And the moment I saw it in Rome, I knew it would be like life changing for us. Like, we appreciate it a lot. Yeah.
So Linda, as a wrap up, are there any other tips that you should share about the counseling tool?
Yes, of course. It is important to know that the tool is not available in Genie. This is a very important issue. Also, you can use this tool for train your team. We can help if needed. questions and concepts are always natural. Clinician keeps one copy on their desk, usually with every client. And also you can get the tier of page as a PDF and you can edit online, then print it for your patient and for their file. And also it's good to know that the tool is in English, Spanish, and different languages. You can translate it and print it into your local languages. And if you wish, you can use only the part that you needed. We recommend the first two parts.
Right, the generic sections, exactly. So we hope that you found that this counseling tool can be a real benefit to your clinicians and especially your patients. And for those of you with Arabic speaking clients, I understand that Morocco is also in the process of translating it into Arabic. They have many languages in Morocco. So please let us know if you'd like to find out more about that. And Linda, what's our next topic for our next video?
Next topic, yes, our next video will be about a smart charger, the new smart charger.
So see you next time.
Bye-bye.